Welcome back to the Future Agent Podcast. My name is Boo Maddox, team lead for the #1 team here in the state of Utah, the Perry Group, where we are here today to talk about all things real estate and what we think the future agent is going to need, not to be successful today, not to be successful tomorrow, but in the future.
In the future. My name is Tony Acosta. If you're new here, been in the industry for 13 years, broker license, the whole shebang. Let's get into it because today's going to be spicy.
You're feeling a certain kind of way today. Everything okay at home?
There's something in the air.
Is it the cool, crisp fall air? You know, that gets me going.
That pisses me off.
You know that gets me going.
We're tropical people, bro.
What do you mean we people? What do you mean we?
We.
Everybody on that side of the board, the table?
By the way, it was Mexico's birthday 2 days ago. Did you have tacos? Thank you.
I did not. I had a quesadilla. Does that count?
That counts, for sure.
It's not whitewashed?
That counts. As long as it's not mozzarella cheese, you're good. That counts.
All right, so it doesn't count.
Let's get into it. Here we go.
Is this one I'm going to react poorly to?
You want me to start? All
no.
Right.
Yeah, you start. You start.
Here we go. So
warm us up with something
on
here.
Threads, which guys, Threads,
You
it goes
love
down
it.
on Threads.
It goes down in
I
Threads.
love Threads. I find people daily on Threads. It is the new Twitter. So let's start with the more egregious one. Boo Maddox, do you agree or disagree? This is Leads with Tosin, says, realtors, nobody cares that you're a local expert. Buyers only care if you can actually get them a house. You are someone that harps on being a local expert. Nobody cares that you're a local expert, bro. To that you say what?
That is, without a doubt,
It's a wild take.
the dumbest thing I've ever read. I didn't even read it, and it's still the dumbest thing I ever read.
Let's break it down, because you're someone that harps a lot on being a hyper-local agent. For context, you sold hundreds of homes in a very confined area.
20-mile radius, 93 homes a year.
Very specific product type, so you got to know it like the back of your hand, and you sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes being a local expert. Yeah. So we pitched that to the team. Why do you feel so strongly that being a local expert even matters?
So I think that the main thing is that there is so many different ways to create value within the real estate world. What I mean by that is that there's a million different ways that people can buy a house. There's a million different ways for them to sell a house. There's a million different ways for people to get involved in real estate, from fix and flips to BRRRR methods to listing low and getting multiple. There is so much that goes into this that it is impossible for any agent to be an expert at everything. And so I think that the quickest way for agents to build an established book of business, for agents to get into production, for agents to do more than the industry average of 2.4 transactions a year, is to become a hyper-local expert. But I do think it's important. We trained on this morning. I think it's important to understand that when I say niche down, there's two different ways that you can niche down. The first is by the location, but the second, which I think is the most effective, is demographic. And that's there is a difference. There is some nuance to that, and so I think if you are not doing that, if you are not going and saying, hey, these are the 20 type, or this is the one type of person that I want to work with 20 times this year, you're going to work with 3 people that are not doing the exact same thing, and it's just impossible to scale your business like that.
Yeah, I actually agree. If I had to play devil's advocate, if I had to argue, if we were doing the thingy and I had to argue for this case, what I'm assuming this individual wants to say is, I don't care if you want to tell me what the local donut shop is. I don't care about the new taco shop that just opened down the street. Are you good at selling real estate? There's an argument there, a little bit. I see, but I don't, because
I think that is selling real estate. When you are selling real estate, especially if you're trying to go after first-time home buyers, hell, even investors. Mm-hmm. I sold hundreds of units to investors. Why? Because I could explain to them why somebody would want to come and rent this house. Mm-hmm. You have this right here. 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 That is absolutely a key component in selling. If you don't understand the area, and you can't say this is where you're going to wake up early. You're within walking distance of the best donut shop. The coffee shop right here on the corner is the single best that I've been to. You have to try the caramel macchiato. I don't know, but to me, that's the essence of selling. I think real estate agents miss out on the fact that your job here is to create an experience for people, not just during the transaction, but what is their life going to look like once they sign on the dotted line. And I think that being the hyper-local expert is the only way to do it.
And I think it's also a refreshing take on content, right? If you look at the hyper-local route, I think it's a more effective way to get people's attention, especially early on, right? Because if you don't have much of a track record, if you're a newer agent, you can't really jump in and really break down seller finance deals, contingency contracts,
new build concessions.
You can't. But what can you do? Go talk about the awesome tea shop, the coffee shop. So it's ways that even agents that don't have a ton of experience can still get eyes on their stuff, still build rapport as a local expert without the expertise on day one.
Well, I think step number one always has to be generate leads and then figure out how to sell them after.
That's right.
And so, yeah.
Agreed.
Idiot. Settle the debate. Is it okay to bring your kids to a showing if you have no one to watch them for you? You're a dad. You have 2 kids. This is the single biggest real estate, or this is the single biggest purchase that anybody's going to make in their life. Is it appropriate to bring your children?
I'm empathetic to this. I think that the ideal is no. The ideal is no. Now, what I have found is that in many cases, we as agents feel pressure to be a yes man, right? So if somebody says, I want to see the home at 2 o'clock, and I don't have a babysitter at 2 o'clock, but I have a babysitter at 5 o'clock, we're scared to say, hey, can't make 2 o'clock. Can we do 5 o'clock? I feel like in 90% of cases, there will be some flexibility there where the client will acquiesce to that. We're just scared to ask. So for me, it's always try to put yourself in the best position to succeed. If your kids are there, you're going to be distracted. You're not going to be able to give the level of service, especially at my age. I mean, I have a 9-year-old, a 1-year-old. It just would not work. So I would not do that. Instead, I would try to reschedule it for a moment where I can be there to give them my undivided attention. But again, I feel like in many cases, agents are going to be afraid to do that because we want to be the yes man at all times. We don't want to tell them no.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at with this one. I have 4 kids. I have brought all of them to different appointments at different times. Part of why I'm in the industry is because I was one of those little kids whose dad was taking him into brokerages and into appointments and into city council meetings and into development meetings. So I think I'm very empathetic to it overall, and I don't think it will ever hurt you as long as you are good at what you do.
Do you think clients care?
I think where I'm at currently in my business is that if you care, I'm out.
Okay.
I think.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Once again, becoming the hyper local expert, you can be the expert based on location. You can be the expert based on demographic. The demographic that I am after is people that are my age that are buying a home. They're going to have kids. They're probably going to have their kids with them. I've seen a lot of success from kids becoming friends and those friends becoming clients and those clients being okay when we bring those kids' friends around.
So you don't see it as a reflection of a lack of professionalism from the agent if they bring their kid along to appointments? In your mind.
Do you feel like buyers and sellers are not taking it as seriously if their kids are in the meeting?
I think it depends on the individual, which to your point, you're saying if somebody has an issue with me bringing my daughter to a meeting,
not my demographic,
and they're a jerk about it, I don't want to work with you anyway.
Not my demographic.
Fair. I would feel the same way. Now, for somebody that is new or maybe doesn't have the pipeline to be able to say that, because when somebody's new, you're going to do whatever you can to get a deal. Is it worth losing a deal over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Strong point.
I am a firm believer that part of why it takes agents so long to get started in this business is because they are saying yes to everybody. I think that if more new agents said no to opportunities, we talked about this today in training as well. Somebody was asking, is it worth pursuing this deal? This buyer called me that I've been working with. Their sister has a house in Colorado that is on the market and they're not going to be able to get it sold. She asked me, is that worth pursuing? I said, no. It's activities like that agents spend their entire days going and working on, going and putting time and energy and resources and thought into, and it was never going to create you $1.
Yeah, and I'd like to be optimistic to believe that most people are not going to be jerks about it.
I agree.
They're just not. I think that fear might be overblown, that someone is going to fire you because you took your son. I don't think it happens as often as we're afraid for it to happen. So I agree.
Now, having said that, I do think that if that's your shtick, if that's your thing, that my kids are with me and they're doing, like, if your entire business is built around you bringing your kids to everything, I do think that that's a mistake.
Why?
To me, that's like building or wrapping your Lambo that we talked about last week. Like, this is my thing. I include my kids in the business. I don't leverage your kids, man. That's weird.
That is weird. Agreed. Next one, realtors and lenders. Buying Zillow leads is the fastest way to stay broke.
You found some dumbasses on Threads this week.
It's actually the same guy.
Wow. So you found a dumbass.
So we have the best context in the country, if not the world, on this topic. And everybody gets it wrong. And you can immediately tell somebody that knows how Zillow works and somebody that doesn't understand how it works. So to this individual that says the best way to stay broke is to give Zillow money, what is your response?
If that is the entirety of your business plan, it's probably true. Zillow leads are incredibly expensive. They require a high degree of skill. They are the warmest leads, I think, in the world, but the sale that you are making is trickier than just, is now a good time to buy a house. Yep. And so if you don't have that context, yes, I think if that's the only thing that you're working on, it can absolutely, but I think that's everything. If you are relying on other people for the entirety of your business, it is going to be difficult. If you are relying on one lead source as the entirety of your business, you can absolutely get into some trouble.
So I agree that it makes you vulnerable. 100%. I do think that it makes you vulnerable. That said, though, we have multiple examples of agents in this office that have built a massive business off of primarily Zillow and SOI where they might fall, but they are not heavy prospectors.
Yeah.
They're not doing the social media thing. They have made a conscious decision to say, okay, I'm willing to pay a little bit of a higher split to not have to, at least at this particular moment in time, have to worry about heavy lead gen and just get very good at the Zillow game, knowing that my phone is going to ring every single day. There are multiple examples of that. So while I do agree that it can make you vulnerable because Zillow can change the rules at any moment in time, as we've seen, if you're willing to be flexible and play that game, I do think somebody can, especially at first, build a very successful business off of Zillow alone.
And it's not even just the closings that you get, because we've seen agents come in and close 20 deals in their first year off of just our Zillow program. For context, we are the #1 account that Zillow has. We are their biggest team. We sell more houses with Zillow. Our conversion rate is better than everybody else's. And so we have seen agents come in and actually crush Zillow. And I think the biggest impact that it has on their business is it is the ultimate springboard. You oftentimes refer to it as PEDs for a new agent. If you are a new agent and you want to come in, if you sold 20 houses, that probably means you took 150 to 200 appointments over the course of a year. You are damn good at this point. Yeah. You are, and you see it when you talk to an agent like Brian Garlick. You hear how he speaks. It is not with the same tone as a brand new agent. Yeah,
and I've switched my stance on this because I used to feel like, yes, Zillow was just a short-term thing. What I've seen, though, is, let's take Brian as an example. If he does 100 Zillow deals over the next 3 years, and that's exclusively what he does, and he makes that decision, that he makes that business decision to only do Zillow. If Zillow is removed because he's done it 100 times, he is in the best position to then go and build an SOI business. But in the meantime, it might not be as attractive to him.
Correct.
So he might just make that conscious decision again to say, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll pay a little bit of a higher split, but I know I'm going to have a consistent flow of opportunities. I used to think that was a bonehead move. I don't know that I feel that way anymore, 100%.
And I agree with you. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think any inbound leads that an agent can have, especially when they're just starting out, or if you're experienced and you're like, hey, I want to understand what it feels like. I'm routinely sold 12 to 15 homes a year on my own SOI, and your goal is to go and scale your business to 20 to 25 transactions every single year. Come in, I will give you 10 transactions a year just off of Zillow. We will help you feel what it's like to sell 25 homes in a year, and then we'll start to swap some of those out for SOI deals over the next 12 months.
Also because of the size of the platform.
Yep.
I mean, it's Facebook. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Meta's not going anywhere.
It's not. So where do you think the hate comes from on Zillow? Because it's a dumbass take, but it's not a unique take.
Right.
Where do you think that comes from in your experience?
People that either have tried it and failed or can't afford it.
And where do you think the Zillow hate comes from in our industry?
People that don't understand it. People that feel threatened by it. And there's one of two ways. You can see Zillow as an enemy or you can see him as an ally. In my opinion, Zillow needs agents to go out and close transactions. I think they always will. I don't know that robot realtors are going to be a thing. So at least for the foreseeable future, maybe our entire lifetimes, humans are going to have to go out and sell properties. I know there are people that disagree with that. I don't see it happening. I think Zillow is always going to be able to generate attention and then sell that attention to whoever can purchase it and make it profitable. But not everybody knows how to do that.
Last one. Is it outdated to leave business cards at a home you showed?
100%.
Was it ever in date? Was it ever in? Was that never not tacky to do?
So when I first started, I was like, the showing times and the aligns were not as the showing services were not as robust. So for me at first, the way I was trained was, okay, you're going to take all these business cards and then you're going to make those reach outs to say, hey, get feedback on the property. There wasn't such a thing back in 20.
It wasn't tracked the same way.
No, there wasn't like the automatic surveys, like things of that nature didn't exist. So I found it useful back then to have some sort of a track of, okay, who came through the house? What did you think? Any interest? I would make those phone calls. Today, worthless.
I agree. I think it's bogus. I think it's lame.
I think they get thrown away.
Yeah, I think that if you're doing it to try to get buyers, I'll be, Scott Willie.
Yes.
Do you know his favorite thing to do?
Nope.
He collects them.
Oh, really?
He collects them. So next time you see Scott, ask him to see his collection. He has an entire stack of cards from homes he's gone to show. And you have people, I don't know if they're, why are they even doing it? Are we trying to solicit business? Are we hoping that an unrepresented buyer walks through there and picks up a card and says, oh, wow, Tony Acosta?
The way that I was trained was that if that listing ever expires, there's a high probability that the seller will go through the stack and choose from the stack.
Oh, that might be
And
valid.
back then there was some data to support that, like some study from, I don't know, that a large percentage of sellers that then relisted would relist with somebody that left their business card at their house.
Interesting.
Maybe you're kind of rolling the dice and
Interesting.
saying, okay, I'm going to get my business card in this building and I don't know what could happen in the future. Maybe. I don't know.
Huh.
But today...
See, and I've never been a business card guy. I have never handed out cards. I think that it's dumb. I think if you're really trying to get somebody to have your information, it's better to say, hey, you know what? I actually don't have a card on me, but let me just text you really quick.
Yes.
That
Which just happened to
has
me
always
today.
been more effective.
So I came from an event. I just spoke at it. People started handing me business cards like, do you have one? I said, no, I don't, but like follow me on social or something.
Yeah, and I think that's a much more effective use of your time.
100%.
All right, now we're on to our giant spinning wheel of agree or disagree. Today's topic, it is more important to build a personal brand than it is to develop sales skills. To that,
I disagree.
You disagree.
I disagree. Repeat the premise.
You feel like it is more important to develop a personal brand than it is to... No, let's see.
So the premise is it is more important to develop a personal brand than sales skills.
Yes, and you disagree.
I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because there are a lot of people out there that are good communicators, but when they actually get into a transaction, they have no skills. They have no skills. And we've seen this time and time and time again. It's one thing to get attention, which is a valuable asset, but then what do you do with that attention? So for me, if I had to choose, I would take somebody that had less branding skills, but more technical skills than somebody that's the other way around. Because if I have somebody that goes viral on social media, but they can't sell shit, I don't see that being a profitable equation.
Okay. No, I can see that. So do you think more agents get out of the business, right? 80% of agents are out after 2 years, 90% are out after 5 years. Mm-hmm. You're the dinosaur. You're the anomaly being here in year 13. Do you think more people get out of the business because they don't know how to sell or because they can't generate enough leads?
Because they can't generate enough leads.
Oh, shocker.
For most, and or when they do get a lead, the transaction is a disaster and they hate it.
Yeah, I think that you will always be better to put time and energy into generating leads, which a personal brand absolutely does. So to me, it doesn't matter how technically skilled you are. Nobody cares and nobody knows how skilled you are until they enter your ecosystem. And I think that there are way too many agents out there spending time developing systems and developing structure and developing sales skills and doing all of these things when the reality is you can add all you want to the proverbial bag. It does not matter until somebody knows your name, until somebody knows you're in the industry, until somebody picks up your business card in an expired listing.
So what would you rather have? You that do a lot of recruiting, if you had to pick a very skilled agent with no branding skills or a viral individual that has 80,000 followers and no sales skills?
I think it is easier to train sales skills than it is to train branding.
Really?
I think it is more of an uphill battle to train and get people to put themselves out there in the market, which is why my theory is the reason 80% get out after the first 2 years is not because of technical abilities. I think most of the agents that are getting out of the business after 2 years, if you were to bring them a lead in the door and say, here's this person, they're ready to submit an offer, go, they would know what to do with it. Where they fall flat on their ass is generating enough people to raise their hand and say, talk to me about that home.
See, I think that's why you and I being in this office work so well, because I see it the complete opposite. I rather have a very, very, very good player that then I can teach how to communicate somewhat more effectively on social media or whatever it is. Because as you and I have had conversations recently, there's a lot of bad agents out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad agents out there. So I would much rather have a very skilled agent and then help them build some of those branding skills.
But don't you feel like it's harder to build those branding skills than it is to develop the sales skills?
No, because I feel like when you're technically skilled, you're going to have some level of confidence.
But we have,
faster.
We have a ton of highly skilled agents that refuse to put themselves out there on social media.
True, because they're producing. Because most of them are already producing. So it's like, are they starving to do so? Probably not. I think, would they be wise to? 100%. But I always want a very, very skilled player that then I can add that skill to, than the reverse. For me, it's more difficult to teach you how to be competent in contracts, competent in communication, competent in negotiation. All of that, for me, is more difficult
than it is to make it real.
Well,
I don't know if I agree or if I disagree with you, and neither will you back at home.
There you go.
Okay, on to our training topic for today. I gave you 2 at the beginning. Which one are we covering today?
Open houses.
Open houses. Okay, so give me the premise. Explain to me how open houses have been conducted in the past. How were you trained? What was it like? What were the standard practices?
So I was trained that the open house is trying to lure a buyer. That's what it's for. So you show up, you get your little cookies, you get your little water bottle, and you sit there and you wait.
Get your sign-in sheet.
Yep, and you wait for the buyer to show up. And you hope and pray that buyer is unrepresented. There's not really a lot of prep that goes into it. You might post it here and there.
How do you pick an open house?
Every listing gets an open house. Every listing gets an open house unless the seller specifically tells you not to, but there's not a lot of prep that goes into it. It's just, I'm going to put it on the MLS. I'm going to put it on 2 stories, which a lot of agents still do it that way. But by and large, you are sitting there waiting for the buyer to come to you. And I think that's one of the reasons why in many cases they do not work.
Okay, so I would love to hear from you. What are some of those examples, or what are some of those things that you feel like are broken currently with how people are doing open houses? And then let's talk through some best strategies and best practices in our opinions.
So where I think it's broken is, what is the objective? Right? So is the objective to sell the house? Maybe. For me, that's a secondary objective.
Yeah, do you think more people are doing open houses to sell a listing or to procure buyers?
To sell a listing.
Interesting. See, I would say it's the opposite.
I think it should be the opposite. I don't think it is, though.
So you think more agents are trying to sell the listing than they are trying to generate buyer leads?
Yeah, that's why all they do is just sit there. Because in my mind, if you wanted to really procure buyers or procure
you would approach it
sellers,
differently.
100% I would approach it differently. Like, that is an opportunity to say, hey, I'm listing the Thompson's house. You got to hit up the entire block and say, hey, here's an invitation to the open house. I just listed the Thompson's house. You probably know them. They're great, blah, blah, blah. It gives you an opportunity to start the process of maybe having a conversation. But if all I'm trying to do is sell the house, it's okay, agents, there's an open house, bring me people. I'm going to sit here with crumble cookies for 3 hours. And it does not go beyond that. So I think when agents understand that this event gives you an opportunity to do something in the community and get out there and shake hands, kiss babies, get to know people, that's what it's about. But the lens has to be, I'm going to use this listing to meet the entire block. And it's very often not.
And to grow the business, to find buyers, to find potential listings. Yeah, and so for me, I think best practice is if I'm an agent that says, hey, I'm going to build my business, right? Open houses are one of the 3 activity-based prospecting methods that we pitch. You need to have a paid lead source, you need to have an activity-based prospecting method, and you have to have a organic lead source in order to have a decent business, I think. In this is open houses, door knocking, and cold calling. So if you have an activity-based prospecting method and if you've elected to do open houses, here's a couple of tips that we feel like would help. Number 1, only do open houses in neighborhoods where you are wanting to transact. Going back to exactly what you were saying, I think these agents that are going and throwing a $3 million house in Park City up as an open house, and then a $500,000 townhome in Lehigh, and then a $250,000 condo in Salem, I think you're missing the mark. No. To me, if you're an agent that's wanting to build it up, you should not be trying to attract buyers that do not fit the demographic that you are trying to hit. So if your target demographic is first-time home buyers, $400,000 to $500,000 in this geographical location, there is no reason to throw an open house other than it looks better on social media.
For sure.
And so I think that's step number 1. Step number 2, talk to me about the sign-in sheet. The sign-in sheet to me is like the CMAs to a listing appointment. Yeah. So I think this is the dumbest, most outdated BS topic or idea that exists right now with open houses.
Yes, it is an outdated idea because often nothing is done with it, right? You just have a sign-in sheet in the car and you just like end up throwing it away. The only application where I think it might make sense is from a reporting aspect to the seller. If you have a seller we should all have accountability to our sellers. So the only scenario where it makes sense is I'm going to use this data to then have accountability with the seller and say that these are the 14 people that showed up. Now, you could do that just with a name. You don't need phone number, email address, blood type, shoe size. So, but from an accountability perspective, I do see some utility there. It might not be in its current form, but most agents, they're never going to do anything with that list. So if you're not going to do anything with the list and you don't have accountability set up with the seller, then just don't do it.
I do think they're doing something with that list. I do think that most agents are doing something with that list, and it's not contacting people on that list. It's hiding behind the sign-in sheet. Rather than getting up and out from behind your computer or from behind your iPad or off of your phone, these agents are using the sign-in sheet to say, go ahead and sign in. So that way I have your buyer, or I have your name, I have your email, and I have your phone number, and I'm going to spam the hell out of you going forward.
And I don't have to talk to you.
And I don't have to talk to you. I can get the information. Here's your MLS printout sheet. Here's my open house flyer. Here's my business card. Please sign in so I can call you later and not have to have a conversation with you. So my advice to you as an agent, if you're trying to sit open houses, would be no sign-in sheet. I would say do no sign-in sheet to force you to get up, stand up, interact with people, kiss babies, and shake hands, just like you were saying earlier. Stop hiding behind your damn open house sign-in sheet because it's easier to collect information that way. I think open houses are brilliant because it is right now one of the best ways that you can get in front of unrepresented buyers. But if you are relying on your sign-in sheet to get in front of them, you're entirely missing the mark. Yeah. So that's one of the tips. Number two, if I am you, I am trying to figure out a way to make sure that buyers have to walk past me twice when they're going into the home and when they're leaving the house. Going and posting up in the family room that's in the back left corner of the house where people can just sneak out the front door, you're missing out. Figure out a way to make it so that they have to walk past you at least twice. My next tip would be you want to have a deal that is similar. This is where I think I disagree with you, because I think in your opinion they're doing open houses for the seller. I think most agents are doing open houses to find buyers. If that's the case, I would have an additional deal that people cannot miss. If they're coming into a $500,000 something, this, that, whatever that house looks like, have a deal that is as good or better that you can also throw out to people to make yourself look like the industry expert.
How many agents do you think do that?
None.
Why?
Because it's easier just to show up, put some signs up, put your cookies out, put your water out.
Because they're not thinking about getting buyers, bro.
I see, and I think that, and I'm like, if you look at the amount of agents that are throwing open houses on their own listings on our team, it's very few.
They're thinking about getting buyers for that house. Otherwise, that would make sense. I agree with you 100%. Like, I think that is a brilliant strategy. Now, the flip side to that coin is, okay, is the seller going to feel some type of way when people come through the house and then you said, hey, that house is actually better. Do you want to see that one?
Do I think that they'll feel a certain kind of way? If I sell their house, will they feel that way still?
No.
And so if that house doesn't work for them, they might realize that, you know what, that first house that I walked through was even better. To me, they're going to go and see it anyway. Yeah. They're going to be seeing, like, agents are not finding buyers their homes.
So how would you communicate that to the seller?
My goal is to generate as many buyer leads as possible. I only need to find one for your house. I'm going to try to keep the others as buyer clients. I hope that you're okay with that.
How many agents have that conversation?
Zero.
Zero.
They're terrified of sellers. They're terrified. They're doing everything they can. That's why they're hiding behind their CMA and listing appointments too.
Which in that case, I love that, because I love the point of just don't have anything in front of you that you can then rely on. Now, talk to me, walk me through the process, how you would handle the tour. If somebody comes in, are you touring them? Are you letting them walk through the house? If you have multiple groups at once, if you have a really busy open house, how would Boom Maddox handle that? Yeah,
so this is something that I would say I am more experienced than agents, because I sat model homes for the better part of 3 years. I was highly effective in model homes. I sold 58 sitting in model homes. I sold 60 homes in a year. I sold 75 homes in a year, all from sitting model homes.
That's why I want this context.
And I did it literally daily. And so my advice to you is be really, really good at seeing who is legit and who is just touring. At the beginning, you're probably going to be wrong, but start to really hone that skill in. And then I always try to tour people. I always try to give them something to pay attention to. Hey, you're going to want to notice that the primary bathroom on this one is incredible. The way that it lays out like this with the shower, and then I'm trying to meet them up there at some point. If there's multiple groups going through, I am trying to get as much contact information as I can. I go the opposite way. My printer in my model home is the craziest thing. Was broken every single day. Hey, can you print me a price sheet? Dang
it.
Shoot. Yeah. Printer's not working. I can text it to you though. Hey, can you give me a site plan? You see the way that my printer works, it doesn't. I would have very little information as well about the home, but have everything readily available to be able to send to people. That way, if you are having to pick between these three groups that are in, trying to identify who's legit and who's not, having something of value that you can send them when they're not in the home with you anymore is a great way to follow up, rather than just they're on my sign-in sheet, I'll hit them up later.
Do you ask buyers if they have an agent?
I would absolutely. And then if they say yes, I would be taking that information and passing it back to their buyer's agent as a way to build relationships with agents. Hey, I don't know if you know or not, but your buyers just walked through. Sounds like you guys already have an agreement in place. I wouldn't be asking if they have an agent. I would be asking, do you have an agreement signed with an agent that's representing you on the buy of your home?
And does the answer to that question change the way you approach the tour?
Completely.
So if they do
Especially
have an agreement, how are you taking it?
So if they have an agreement in place, I honestly, those are the times where I use to sharpen my skills more than anything. So I never had to deal with people having an agreement when I was sitting in a model home, but oftentimes they would already have an agent with the builder that they're already working for, and they wanted to come and see our location or see the other floor plan or see something within the neighborhood I was sitting. I looked at those as free opportunities. I looked at those as free at-bats. Yep. And so I was doing my damnedest to sell the heck out of people in those instances. So if they already have an agent in place, I would be trying to sell at that point, then that's what I'm trying to sell the house. I would be trying to hard close them. Hey, is this a home you guys would want to submit an offer on? I'm just asking for the seller.
I see.
I would be practicing some of these sales tactics that I think you should be using when people that say, I don't have an agent, come through. I think you should be using those free at-bats.
So if they have an agreement, you're selling the house. If they don't have an agreement, you're selling yourself.
I'm selling myself.
100%.
Yeah, and this is why you need to be working with me. If no one's I would be trying to, my follow-up would not be, I think most agents try to put people into a drip campaign if they come in without an agent.
Oh, for sure.
They're trying to put them on a drip campaign. They might try to text them a couple of times. They're going to be sending them properties. We've already established a long time ago, though, that's not your value. Those those buyers have already seen every home. If they're actively buying, they have already seen every home that you can possibly send to them. That's my working theory. So what I would be doing is you can make some assumptions. If somebody walks into an open house without an agent, you can make some assumptions that they don't understand the buying process. My follow-up would not be, let me send you a couple of other properties. My follow-up would be, has anybody taken the time to walk you through the buyer process step by step, and trying to set up a buyer consultation with them rather than in perpetuity, let me just put you on property alerts.
For sure. And the last thing I'll say is do the prep. And I'm always going to refer back to, every time I train open houses, I train your example when you went live and you were inviting people out to the open house in Vineyard, that the house was already under contract. Even then, the quality of conversations that you had over 30 minutes?
Yeah, about an hour. Yeah, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes just hitting the houses around. Seeing that in real time was so refreshing, because it's like, all you were doing was just inviting folks.
That's it.
And we got to hear the conversations. Like you're literally at the door. You had your phone.
I went live. I had it on my clipboard. That piece of content popped.
That was
good.
Massive. So it was like, okay, it's not a hard sale. Nobody was a jerk to you.
No, everyone was cool.
People engaged with you. You asked them some questions. Hey, how long? Like that example was brilliant. So agents, take the time to actually do that. Don't just put it on the MLS, buy some cookies, and sit there. An open house should be a 4 or 5 day process if you're going to do it
That's
properly.
what I was going to say. Walk everybody through really quick. We got just a couple of minutes left. Walk everybody through exactly what our open house strategy prep looks like in an ideal world.
Yep. So as soon as you identify, as soon as you post it, you want to get your farming, door knocking schedule done. That's probably going to be done 4 or 5 days in advance. 3 days in advance, you're going to go out there. You're going to make some content. You're not going to wait until the last day.
Not the morning of.
Not the morning of. So 2 to 3 days out, you might make a couple of phone calls around the area, and then you prep the day of. Now, signs. How many signs, Boo? Do you do 3 signs?
If you're talking to Jack Perry, he says 40. 40 feels a little bit aggressive to me, but that's one of those things I'd be mapping out. I'd be going to Google Maps, putting my pin in, and going and finding the 4 biggest corners and just start trying to funnel traffic through like 3 to 4 blocks out.
Yep. So 4 days out, you're door knocking. 3 days out, you're making content. A couple days out, you're probably going to make some phone calls, and then you prep the day of with a bunch of signs. Are you a fan of balloons? Are you a balloon guy?
You know what?
Are you a food truck guy?
At the model home, I was always a big fan of balloons. I think Balloons are not something that you can put out 3 days in advance, so it shows that you were there. Your prep needs to start an hour, to me. It needs to start an hour prior to your open house going live. And you need to be having signs up. You need to have balloons up. You need to have your whatever you're doing already established 20 minutes before. I sold more houses, sitting model homes, in the 30 minutes before it opened up and the 30 minutes after we closed than I ever did during the prime hours of the day. And so get there early, establish that you're there, have a way to go start knocking doors again that Saturday morning. Hey, wanted to invite you over. Make sure that you could come help pick your neighbors if you know of anybody. Absolutely should be done ahead of time. And I do not think that open houses are just for Saturday. Part of some of my best success sitting model homes was on holidays like Memorial Day, Labor Day, Christopher Columbus, Indigenous People Day, whatever these, I don't even have a real term for them. Bank holidays,
just like B-list holidays.
B-list holidays is a perfect way to put it. I'm not don't throw an open house on Christmas. Don't throw one on Christmas Eve. But the day before Christmas Eve, when everybody's off work early that day, they're trying to go and kill some time. That's probably not a good one either. But like a Memorial Day, a Labor Day, a Columbus Day, a random Wednesday where people don't have work and they have nothing to do.
Yep.
Pristine.
Do they have to be 4 hours long?
No, I think you're better to throw a properly prepped 2-hour open house than you are to throw a haphazardly put together 4-hour open house.
Fair. There you go.
So it depends on your prep work.
Open House 101.
There we go. That's it. We'll see y'all next week on the Future Agent Podcast.